You have to believe that like your dreams are meant for you. You are meant to fulfill the desires of your heart. You are meant to achieve these goals and dreams, desires that you have for your life and for your business.
I'm Ashton Smith.
And I'm Jordan Long.
And we're coming in hot. We're 7th generation entrepreneurs with a passion for fusing creative expression and business fundamentals to help entrepreneurs powerfully expand their companies.
Legacy Creator is a show for creatives, big thinkers, and visionaries who are doing business differently. Together, we unpack topics to help you embody your creative identity, develop as a leader, and powerfully grow your business.
In a nutshell, we're calling you out and calling you higher. Yeah, honestly, I look so pasty compared to you. And I literally was so proud of my base tan yesterday.
You're doing
Before
it.
you came over. And then you came over and I was just like, I hate everything.
I feel like this base tan happened very quickly. Also, it's kind of funny because this episode's going to be out like in August or something. But like, we're pre-recording, okay? But I was like working on my base tan and yesterday was so hot. And I was out there for a little while and I swam on my lunch break. So I don't know. I swear I feel like it was the past 2 days that really like made it more, just made me more tan.
I was know. Like, last time I saw you too, you were just tan and you got some sort of olive complexion that I did not get.
It's just the beauty and our differences.
I feel like I look much more Irish. Just like straight
Irish.
Pale.
Yep.
Here we are. It's fine. I was going to say, in light of today's episode, I should ask to be more tan, but that's not how this works. All right, you guys, welcome back to Legacy Creator. If you have listened to our show before, you know, especially from season 1, that like our big motto, our big anthem is like, we want to help you think bigger. I feel like that is just so hardwired into our being because of how we were raised. Like, we're that family where we're sitting around the dinner table and we're either not talking, there's not a word said, or we are in some sort of like big life-altering discussion about God, about the world, about saving humanity, about growing a business. You know, it's like all or nothing.
Yep. True that.
So, you know, that's why we love this podcast. It gives us an outlet to have these bigger conversations and just ultimately help you expand your way of thinking. Expand your capacity to think bigger, because truly at the end of the day, you are really the only thing that can put limits on yourself, on what you can have, on what you can do, on what you can create. Like, there's so much opportunity, and the world, I truly believe, is ours for the taking. The only limitation, one of the biggest limitations, is really us and like our mindset and how we think. And so you have the ability to unleash your full potential on this planet, or you have the potential to remain confined in your current reality. Like, we all have that choice. And I do feel like in seasons of life and business that feel really hard, like you are just coming up against resistance, or you feel like things just are not falling into place. There is no going with the flow because nothing is flowing. Like, you just feel like everything is a battle and you're pushing and you're almost striving to make things work. And some seasons are just like that. And I think they're like that for a reason. We learn so much in those seasons. We grow so much. But in those seasons, it's so easy to kind of start asking for the bare minimum and start playing small, because you're kind of ruling yourself out before you go for the big thing, because you just don't want the battle. You don't want the resistance, and you feel like, probably not, I may not be able to accomplish that thing, so I'll just do this instead. You know, like, this will be enough. This is good enough. And it's easy to fall into that habit where you're going for those things that feel easy, that feel the most realistic, that feel the most attainable. But I am a huge believer that like, you were never designed to play small on this planet, in your life, in your career. You were never designed to just skate by, to just go for the bare minimum. I really believe that you are here to leave an impact, to leave an imprint, to live big and bold, to like do the things that are or seem impossible, and to ultimately at the end of the day live out those true innate desires inside of your heart. And so today we really wanted to create a discussion around this idea that you may have not because you ask not. And I think sometimes we reach this place where we can become so frustrated and overwhelmed and even defeated that we stop asking for the things. We stop listening to our desires. We stop paying attention to what we really want. And again, we start playing small. And so if that resonates with you at all, today's episode is for you. And we truly believe by the end of this, you're going to just feel like lit up and empowered and ready to roll. And so the first question that we really want to ask you today is, are you actually going for what you want? Are you actually putting yourself out there for the things that you want? And this can be for your life. Maybe you want to find a home, a partner, you want to travel. This can also be in business. This can be a financial milestone. This can be growing your client base, finding the right team member. We're not just talking about growth or money or this one picture of success. We're talking about the unique desires that are inside of you for a reason. And really asking you that question, are you allowing yourself to want those things, to desire those things? Not what anyone else wants, but what you actually want. I think sometimes we let this fear of failure and the fear of things not working out lead us to just, again, ask for the bare minimum. We don't go for the big thing. We don't ask for the big thing because we're like, well, it's not very likely to happen, So maybe I'll ask for less. I'll dream a little bit smaller. I'll make this a little bit more confined and realistic. And that way I'll be more likely to achieve them. But truly, that's not how you're designed to live. I really believe that.
Yeah. Just a minute ago, you used the word realistic, and it just made me think about, sometimes I think we can get to the point where we're leaning into realism, what's realistic, so much that it almost crosses over into nihilism and pessimism. We're so realistic about what can I do, what can I not do, that we almost box ourselves in too much, and we're not leaving any room for dreaming about what's possible for our lives. What do I want to do? We're not leaving any room for kind of fantasizing sometimes about the things that we want to do, the dreams that we have. I know for me, I got to a point in my life in my early 20s where I had a really rough time with a breakup, and it led me to this wall of just realism. Just more of a logical way of thinking. I didn't want to be romantic or fantastical in the way that I thought about things. I was I need to be logical. What's realistic for my life? What's realistic? And it got to a point where it was verging on pessimism all the time. And then I found myself going back to more of the romantic, dreamy nature that's innate to me. I am a romantic at heart. I like to dream about what's possible. So I think it's all about finding a balance, but don't lean into realism so much so that you neglect to dream and think of what could be possible for your life.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's a reason why so many people talk about maintaining that childlike perspective of life and that wonder and that, ability to dream and to think big. That is so important because I think as we get older and we have more experiences and we get burned, we can become jaded and we can develop this tough exterior and shell, and that affects the way that you view life and the world and what you believe for and what you hope for and what you ask for. And so I think that's so important to have a balance of both, maintaining that childlike wonder and that ability to tap into, what do you hope for? What do you really hope for? Don't dull it down. Don't make it smaller. Don't make it something that it's not. We're not telling you to have the desire that this person has. You could have a very simple desire. It doesn't have to be, I want to be this multi-billionaire and have this mansion. That's not the point of this discussion. It's bringing you back to, what do you innately desire, and are you allowing yourself to want those things? Or are you trying to take the easy path because you feel like that's more likely? That's more realistic.
There's a fawn outside. Oh my God, it's so little.
It's the smallest fawn I've ever seen.
You guys, if you're watching on YouTube, this tiny. Oh my gosh. That's the cutest fawn.
I want to know, who is this?
Which deer is this? We're on deer duty right now, y'all. Hold on for, stand by.
What if you could turn your ideas into actual profit for your business? Right now, you may feel like you're doing all the right things, and yet your efforts aren't creating more money for your business. Today, that changes. Our free 90-day profit planner has helped hundreds of creative entrepreneurs transform their income goals into an actualization strategy since 2019. You can download yours for free today. Just visit myawakening.co/profit. That's myawakening.co/profit. Now, back to the show. Are you trying to take the easy path because that feels more realistic? I think we've all heard the phrase that if it's easy, you probably aren't on the right path. And that's not me trying to say that like everything should feel hard all the time and there should always be resistance, because I don't think that's healthy either. But I do want to point out that there's always going to be a natural level of resistance and tension when you are pursuing your dreams and your desires. And this isn't by accident. Like, there is a true purpose for that. I believe that moving through that resistance, going on that journey, pushing through that tension, those are the things that allow you to actualize the desire and then actually sustain whatever that thing is. You don't just magically achieve the biggest, wildest dream. Like, there's a journey to get there, and it's building you. That's really what life is about. That's what business is about. It's building, growing, and developing you, because again, you are the only thing that can really put a limit on what you can accomplish. So if you're going that easy path, if you feel like you're just kind of scraping by and you're going for the things that are realistic, you probably aren't on the right path or the most aligned path for what you are called to do on this planet, for those desires that you truly have in your heart. So the point here is that you can't rule yourself out before you get started, right? If you won't even dare to ask for the thing that you won't say it out loud, you won't acknowledge it, you won't write it down in your journal, you won't share it with a friend, you won't acknowledge it behind the scenes, then how are you ever going to expect for that thing to come to life, for that thing to come to fruition? It has to begin with acknowledging and then asking for the thing.
If you know what you want, are you actually going for the thing? Or are you just sitting on the sidelines because you believe there's no way it could possibly happen? Oftentimes, I think we don't ask for things because we don't believe that it could possibly happen. Like, we just don't even think that this is possible for us, you know? But in business and in life, we have to continually adjust our mindset with things. And I would recommend always opt for the positive. You know, if you think in your mind right now that the desires you have are not meant for you, or like there's just no way that it could possibly happen, let's like rewire that. You got to readjust. You got to rewire the way that you think about these things. The desires of your heart are there for a reason. So you need to start believing in yourself. Start speaking positively over yourself and your life and these things that you want to see come to fruition. You have to believe that like your dreams are meant for you. You are meant to fulfill the desires of your heart. You are meant to achieve these goals and dreams, desires that you have for your life and for your business.
I was just thinking about the importance of like developing that belief and how you have to surround yourself with evidence of the possibility to like reinforce that. And I think we were so lucky to grow up in a household where we were always spoken to with this energy, with this life, with this empowering tone of like, you can do anything. You know, you're your only limitation. And I think that when that belief is being reinforced continuously, you're more likely to actually believe in the things that you desire. And I was thinking about too, like even with transitioning into motherhood and preparing to like birth a baby and like have a newborn and take care of a child, I have spent so much time surrounding myself with evidence of like positive stories and positive experiences to reinforce that like I can have that. This is like a very real possibility. I think there are rare cases where you have to be the one to bet on the vision when there is no evidence, and there's definitely a time for that. But if there's any way that you can surround yourself with evidence of what's possible, that's going to continue to reinforce the belief that you can do that thing. I even think about how I've been feeling challenged in this transition to motherhood to ask for the things that I want. So instead of thinking, oh, well, this could happen or that could happen and I'm just going to be okay with whatever happens. An element of that is important because we have to go with the flow sometimes and things don't always go to plan. So that is an element. But if you're not even going to ask for the thing that you want, like what's the point? So like why out the gate can I not ask for the type of birth, the type of postpartum experience, the type of newborn experience that I would like to have? Believe for those things, declare those things, pray for those things, grab that as my reality and my opportunity to take hold of, because that's a desire I have in my heart. And then what comes. And then you go with the flow and you move through it. It's the same in business. We continue to declare the things that we're believing for over our business and our growth and whatever that may be at the time. And then what comes and you move through it. But you have to be willing to ask for it. Surround yourself with that evidence so you can develop that belief, because when you believe that something's possible, you're so much more likely to take action on it.
Amen.
Amen. And like Jordan was saying too, you can take so much comfort in knowing that your desires are yours for a reason. That's just something we have always believed in. And I always say that the presence of a desire in your heart is proof of your ability to actualize it. If it is there, it is there for a reason. It would not be there if you could not actualize it. Why would it be there? Right? And this is very specific to the true desires of your heart, because I do think there are times where we can get distracted and we can think that we want something when in actuality we sit back and we're like, actually I don't really want that thing. I think that maybe I was influenced to think that I wanted that thing because I saw this person has that and this person's life looks amazing or that home looks awesome or whatever it is, but it's not a true desire of yours. So you have to learn to distinguish the difference between what is a true desire that you have. When a desire is innately yours, it is divinely meant for you, like without a shadow of a doubt. And I even think about like something as kind of small as my desire for like our new home. I have always valued land, nature, and animals. I think it's like just in my bloodline because our family grew up on a farm. Our grandpa was a farmer, and Josh and we lived in a townhome before we purchased our home last year. And I would just spend so much time dreaming about having a bigger home, having more land, having trees, like having animals around us, and like just feeling like I was more separated from the city. And those were just things that, just little desires that I had. I would write about them in my journal and I didn't really think much of it. And then I find myself like last year, we're looking for a house and we're trying to find the right property. And that was a whole journey. And we end up landing on the house that we have now. And just seeing how it ticks off every single box, big and small, of everything that I ever wanted is just astounding. But I had to be able to acknowledge those desires and ask for them and be willing to go for them in order to get to this point. And I think too, there's this whole other element of before we found this home, I got a little bit distracted with thinking that I wanted to build a home from the ground up and I wanted everything to be fresh and new and I wanted it to be more modern and, we were going to live in a neighborhood, and those actually weren't things that I wanted. I actually got distracted by what some other people were doing, and I had to be redirected to what I ultimately wanted. And it's just crazy to see how that comes together.
Yeah. And I did want to add, earlier you were talking about, you said something like you can literally do anything, and we did grow up with that sort of mentality being taught to us, like you can do anything. But I think the caveat to that is you can do anything if it's in your wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Like if it's something that you want to do, an innate desire, if it's something that you just innately want for your life, like it could be, maybe you want to do something specific for work. Like I'll just list off some of my like innate desires. Like I love photography. I love writing. Like those are a couple things that I'll throw out there. I think those things are meant for me. They're in my wheelhouse. Those are things that I'm naturally drawn to and I'm naturally good at. Like I always excelled in English classes at school because I just naturally had an inclination for it. So I do think you can do anything if it's in your wheelhouse and if it is a true innate desire to you. And like you were just saying, you got all distracted by, what other people were doing with their like homes and their own journeys, but like you got redirected to the right path that was for you and found this like perfect home that takes off all of your boxes. So it's like you have to get to the root of what you want, because everyone's desires are different. Everyone has a unique path that they are on. Your path is different from Susie Q and Betty Boo over there. Like you have to like find your center of gravity, find what's your innate desires. What are the things that you want for your life at large? What are the things that you want to do? What are the things that you want to have maybe as well, like tangible things? But really get down to like the core of that. Write it down somewhere, like breathe life into it and start believing that like you can have those things. But I will say, I do think that belief has to cross over into action at some point. And we talk about this all the time. If you didn't know, now you know. We talk about taking action like all the time, because that's the thing that's going to get you from point A to point B, from point A to point Z, we talk about it a lot in our membership and just in our content at large, because I think a lot of our community is made up of visionaries, dreamers, and these artist types that, like me, can be a little bit like head up in the clouds. We're dreaming about certain things, but we're not taking action. And I think if you start to believe something is true, you're going to start to act from that place. If you believe that like your desires are meant for you, you're going to start taking action on those things. And I think that's the most important thing that gets the desire to a state of completion and fruition, is like you have to do certain things to get there. You have to take some sort of action to get to that point. And I think belief and action actually work really well together. I think it's great if you believe in yourself, then you kind of start to act from that place. But I also think sometimes you may not fully believe that something's possible for you, but if you start taking that action, you are going to start developing the belief in yourself and your abilities. Like I remember when I was first starting to work at The Awakening with Ashton, there was so much that I didn't know. There was such a learning curve for me. There were so many things that I felt like uncomfortable with. Used to feel super uncomfortable like doing Instagram stories. There were times when I would do some with Ashton back in the day. Like we'd be driving around together and we were doing a team day, and she was like, "Can you post on stories today?" And I was like, like froze up, absolutely not, can't do it. But like I grew into those things and I started to believe in myself more, grow in my skills and grow in my confidence as I started taking action. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we're the biggest advocates for taking action and actually doing the things that you want to do, because when you take action, you learn, you grow, you grow stronger, you develop more confidence in yourself, and these things don't feel so far out of reach anymore. I think that sometimes we think our dreams are like so far out there maybe, or they're just so far out of reach that we think we need some sort of like divine intervention from God for this thing to happen. But I will say, we are in control of our own lives. We are in the driver's seat. We have control over what we have control over. We are in control of our destiny. We are in control of getting our dreams to a state of completion. Nothing else is going to do that for you, by the way. I do believe God plays a role in things. I do believe that God helps guide us when we do need it. But you're in the driver's seat, you're in control. You have to take back control. You have to believe in your dreams and you have to take action on those dreams, or else those dreams are going to stay locked in a cabinet somewhere forever and they're never going to be fully realized. And that, if that were to happen, if your dreams were to just be left somewhere abandoned, it's a waste and you're doing yourself such a disservice. Because I think if you have a desire, if you have a certain skill, if you have something that's just innately yours, it's your job to bring it to fruition. I think it plays a larger role in the world that we may not even see. And it's something that might outlive us, But if you do not chase your dreams and do the things that you want to do, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're letting your dreams go to waste. And I think, to me, that is just like the worst thing you can do for yourself and for your life.
I feel like sometimes we posture ourselves like we are waiting for God to intervene, to tell us what to do, to tell us where to go, tell us how to act, to organize and orchestrate all of the pieces. And we're just in this passive waiting, as if we are helpless and completely out of control, or not in control of any part of our desires and our destiny. And actually, what is often happening is God is just waiting on us to move, to do something, to take what we have now, work with what we currently have, work with where we are now, and move and do the thing and actually partner with Him, partner with our desires and the destiny on our life, and actually act on it. We always say that confidence comes through taking action. And it's so true. You're not ever going to feel 100% ready. You're not ever going to feel 100% confident. You're not going to maybe even 100% believe in your idea, believe in your vision. I think there is a small percentage of people that are just really good at that. But there's going to probably be some level of doubt there. And if you wait for that to go away, girl, you are never going to move.
Yeah.
Girl, you're never going to do anything.
Yep.
So stop waiting for the pieces to fall in place, for God to just divinely speak to you in the night, for whatever it may be that you're waiting on, for that divine sign, and move. Go do something, because when you do something, something's going to change. You're going to see some level of result, right? But you have to act on the thing, and you have to let yourself go for the thing as well.
Yeah. And I don't want to let this like title be misconstrued to like, well, if I just ask for something, if I ask or I pray for something, it's going to come to me. No. You can't just ask. You can't ask for something without doing what you can. You have some responsibility in this. You have to take control over what you can control. There's things that are outside of our control, of course, but what you can do, you need to start doing. You need to start taking action, sister. And I mean that in the most loving way. I'm not trying to be, overbearing here, but really, like, you can't just ask for things and just like sit back and wait for it to come to you. Sometimes miracles happen. Sometimes things just happen that are like a God thing, and it just comes, and it maybe you get a revelation about something that you need to do in your business or in your life. Maybe just something magically happens. And yes, there are like magic moments like that, but you can't just ask and just sit back with your legs propped up on your desk and be like, all right, all this money and new business is coming my way. All these new clients are coming my way. This business growth is coming my way. What are you doing? What are you doing right now to get there? It has to be both. You have to believe, but also you have to act.
Oh my gosh. Let's just standing ovation. It's so good. It's so true. I think something else we live by is that there is always more available to you. Like, this is just the beginning. There's always more. And we operate from that place when, even when I speak with our clients, I always am reminding them that like, this is just the beginning. There's always more, because I think sometimes we kind of put a cap on like where we can go and what we can do. And we forget to like create new desires and dreams as we hit things, as we hit those goals, but there's always more. And I think it is important to establish like, what is your more? Like, what are the desires? What are the things that you want? Because that doesn't necessarily just mean more money or possessions or trips, right? Like, this simply means that there is more on the table for you, and you get to decide what that looks like, right? And I think that's really important when we talk about asking for what you want, when we talk about like moving on your desires, you better be sure that you're actually moving on the things that you really actually want, and you're not moving on the things that you think you should want because that's what someone else is doing. So you might want to be like that nomadic entrepreneur. I can tell you right now, I do not want to be that person. I love having a home base. Like, I love trips and I love travel, but like, I cannot work from just anywhere in the world. That is something that I do not want. You might want that. Do you want just a very simple and quiet life? Like maybe you want to build more of a side hustle with your business. Maybe you're like, I don't really want to spend all hours of the day working to build a large corporation, a large business. That's also a very real desire. There's no right or wrong. Do you want more spaciousness in your schedule from friends and family? Do you want to run multiple companies and be like a multi-millionaire? Great. If you don't want that, but you think you should want that and you go for that, you are going to be so burnt out and so unhappy. You're going to find yourself in a place where you're like, oh, I'm so overworked and this is not what I wanted. Maybe you want to be a mom and an entrepreneur in one. But at the end of the day, you get to decide what you want, and then you get to figure out how to develop the belief, transform that into action in order to actually create that reality for yourself.
Amen. Yeah, your dreams are unique to you. And like everybody's different. Everyone has different dreams and goals for their life, and there might be some overlap, but your dreams are unique to you, and your dreams are just as important as someone else's. Hey, let me just repeat that. Your dreams are just as important as someone else's, okay? You don't have to have some big grand dream like being a multimillionaire and running all these different like businesses. Some people really want that. Like some people are so entrepreneurial and they want to start all these different businesses or like invest in businesses. That's not everyone's path. That might not be your path like at all. You do not need to go down a path that is not meant for you, because you will be unfulfilled. You will be very unhappy. You will be burnt out. It's just not for you. So don't go down that path. You know, I think about our mom. She dreamt of being a stay-at-home mom. Like she talks about when she was even a little girl, she just wanted to be like a caretaker and a homemaker. And that was very innate to her, a very innate desire that she always wanted. And nothing else sounded as fulfilling for her. Like she did work for a time. Like when our parents were first married, of course, like she had a job as well. But like over time, our dad was, you know, running the landscaping company that he ran, and he was able to afford for our mom to like stay at home full time when Ashton was born. And she was a stay-at-home mom from the time like Ashton was born up until like forever, you know, and that was her dream. And like that dream is still very important. And if that's your dream, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, like that's amazing. You have to identify what your dreams are. You don't have to do something else or be something else just because someone else is doing it. You need to find what works for you, because every single person is unique. You have unique desires, and you don't need to try to fit into some other box or mold because someone else is doing it, because like I said, you're going to feel so unhappy doing that. You're going to feel unfulfilled, and you're not going to feel aligned. Like it's just, if it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. You know, and I think about personally for myself, like I have some like larger desires for my life. Like I would like a home someday. I would like, you know, more than enough so that I can travel, because I do really enjoy traveling. But I also have some more like specific desires of like things that I want to do. I've always loved to write. That is very central to me. I don't know what that will look like one day, but like, I think I have that desire for a reason, because I think I'm meant to do something with it. And like I said, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think that the desire is there for a reason. I think that, you know, I wouldn't have the skill or ability or that natural inclination towards writing if it wasn't meant for me, if I didn't need that skill for some reason. I don't think the desire would exist if I wasn't meant to fulfill it. So think to yourself, like, what are the big picture things for your life that you really want? Do you want to be a mompreneur? You want to be able to take care of your kids and also be an entrepreneur? Like, think about the things that you really want for your life, big picture, and also think about maybe like the smaller things of like, what are the things that I want to actually do it like throughout my life, and jot them down, write them down somewhere. They need to be somewhere so that you can continually remind yourself, like, these are the things that I want, so that you don't get distracted by what other people are doing or what other people are doing in their lives.
Yeah. I've had multiple clients ask me for feedback on like their vision, and kind of like coming from this perspective of, is this right? Is this like big enough? Is this good enough? And I'm always like, girlfriend, this is your vision. That is not my place to say. Now, if we have a business strategy that you want to talk about, I'll give you my input on that. But I think sometimes, especially being in the online space and just seeing what so many different people are doing, we feel like our vision and our desires need to check off certain boxes. It needs to look a certain way. It needs to be so big in order to matter, in order to be meaningful. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because really what makes it meaningful is that it is true to you. It is innate to you. And if it's not, then you're going to feel unfulfilled if you try to go for that thing. So don't try to make it anything that it's not. Like, follow your natural passions. Like Jordan said, your inclinations. Like, what do you feel that you're drawn to? What are things that you daydream about? When no one's watching, when there's no pressure. And of course that can be for your business, but it can also just be for little things in your life. You know, I think over the last 1 to 2 years, and definitely since being pregnant, I've had a whole new perspective on things that matter to me. Like little things like just being able to take a Friday off if I want to, or figure out how I can structure my schedule. So like when my baby's here, I can be with my baby and I can have that balance or a semblance of balance with being a mom and also pursuing my passions and having time to go to the pool. I don't care. Like little things like that. Being in nature and just like gawking over like the fawns that are running around. Like these are little things that make me happy, people. And you know, they might not make you happy, but they make me happy. And those things matter too. I think that it's important to clarify not only the desires that may have to do with your career and maybe the impact that you're meant to have on people. That's very important. And we believe in that. But also the desires and just like the simple pleasures and the simple things that make you happy. Because I feel like those two things have to go together. If we're talking about creating a fulfilling life, those two worlds have to collide. If it's one or the other, you're going to feel empty in some shape or form. So all that said, don't try to make it something that it's not. Follow what sparks, a fire inside of you, what lights you up, what, makes you get excited and happy. And that can be for your life, but also for your career as well. So as we wrap up, some action items and just some things to think about, I want to encourage you to do an assessment and really get honest with yourself. Are you actually going for what you want? Are you actually going for the things that you want? And, we might have to go to ground zero here and we might have to clarify, like, what is it that you actually want? And we might have to do that either because maybe you've gotten a little bit muddied in your vision and you don't really know what you want, or maybe you've actualized certain goals and you haven't clarified what's next for you. So we have to know, what is it that you want? What are those desires that are speaking to you at this time in this season? And then ask yourself, are you actually going for them? And are you allowing yourself to think big, to move in a big way, to bet on yourself, and to go for it even when things seem impossible?
The second thing here, act on your dreams. Take action, even if it's in a small way, work your way up, but start moving in some direction. Mm-hmm. Like Ashton was just saying, once you figure out what you want to do, maybe you don't really know. Maybe you don't really know all of your desires, but once you have that figured out, you got to start moving. You have to start taking control, get in the driver's seat of your own life, take control of the wheel and start driving in the direction that you want to go in. You have to start moving and taking some sort of action if you want to see your desires fully realized, if you want to achieve your goals and your dreams for your life.
And then define what more looks like for you. If you feel like you're constantly just going for more for the sake of more growth, things, whatever it is, let's scale back for a second. Let's zoom out and really define what more really matters to me. Do I really want that car? Do I really need a new home? Do I really want to hire 3 new people? Do I really want to be building multiple companies at one time? If the answer to any of those things is yes, then go for it. But don't just go for more for the sake of it because you're on the hamster wheel and you're trying to keep up and maybe you're trying to keep up with other people as well, really clarify what really matters to you and what more is divinely appointed to you and your life. What are those true desires that you have? So we hope that you feel so inspired, called out, called higher. And we will catch you in the next episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.